Hey everyone, and welcome to Ink Spotlights from Comix Wellspring. This is the series where we shine the spotlight on immensely talented creators who print with us. And today we're joined by Brendan Albetski to talk about some of his books, his projects, IC3, and a little more. Brendan, great to meet you. Super hyped to talk to you. Tell us all about your projects.
Thanks, Brandon. First of all, it's really weird to be in kind of this mirror universe where I have to speak to a Brandon and you have to talk to a Brendan. I get Brandon all the time. I don't know if you
Yes.
get Brendan
Yeah,
sometimes.
all the
So
time. Yes, yeah.
yeah, no, it's the shoes on the other foot now. But no, I'm really thrilled to be here today. I've printed a couple of books with CWS before. I have two of them right here. Maru, Kiru, Destroy the Moon, Volume 1 and 2,
Ooh,
both of which I'll have with me at IC3 this year.
yeah.
I may also have a little snippet of Volume 3, which I'm working on now. The first couple pages of that are going to drop digitally on Global Comics and Comic Fury and a handful of other digital platforms at the end of the month. And then I'm slowly going to be working through that volume throughout the year, and we'll probably have it available in full TPB form sometime in 2026. But for this year, I'm also planning on maybe printing off some small, like really, really limited run stuff that you're only going to be able to get if you come to see me live at shows like IC3. I'm going to always try to have something special, like at every little con appearance I do this year. And I'm going to be doing way more cons than I have previously. Last year, I only did a couple. IC3 2024 was actually my first live show ever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
So we probably came across each other. I was running around that entire
I'm
show. Yeah.
sure we did. Yeah, no, it was it was a madhouse. I don't even remember half the things that happened that day.
Yeah,
But
blur, super blur. All of a sudden, it was like wild, and then I got super hungry, and I got
Mhm.
that's all I remember. Like, just starving and getting pizza, and then just coming
Yep.
back to life to finish the day off.
Yeah. So it was a heck of a day, and I'm really looking forward to doing it again. So I'm excited to get out and do more live local stuff this year. I'm excited to bring people the books that I've already gotten and start talking their ear off about the new books that are coming up. So I'm going to have tons of posters too. So
Oh, cool.
that's my IC3 spiel. Come see me, get lots of art, and I'll talk to you about cool fantasy stuff. So
Oh, rad. Why don't you give us a quick overview of what your books are about, so people
yeah,
can
sure. So it kind of says it all in the tin. Maru, Kiru, Destroy the Moon is about Maru, Kiru, who's back. I can never get the stage left thing right,
just
but
same thing.
she's
Yeah.
back there. She's a really powerful warrior, and she wants to blow up the moon. But blowing up the moon is a really lofty goal, literally, and something. There's a lot of crazy adventures that happen trying to get to that end goal and to overthrow this evil cult of the moon that kind of has its grip on her world, and has done her personally wrong on numerous occasions. So, she's very straightforward and blunt and chops things in half all the time. If you're a big fan of like heavy metal comics, or kind of like 90s fantasy comics, or Richard Corbin, that kind of stuff, this is all right up your alley.
Speaking all my languages right now.
Yeah. No, it's really accessible and people really like it. I've never really had anybody come to me and be disappointed with the reading experience. We had a great time on Kickstarter last year. We fully funded in 8 hours, and then we blew the funding goal out of the water after the end of that. And I got to really talk to a lot of people, and I got pull quotes from a lot of my friends in the biz. And it was very flattering to even though I asked them to, say nice things about my book. Some of the stuff that they said was just really, really floated my boat and made me feel great about working on the project. And I'm super excited to be coming back to it this year. I had to let it kind of sit for a while because I've had so much work for hire stuff that I've had to do.
Oh, cool.
This year I'm carving out time for it. I'm gonna make it happen.
Yeah.
So by the end of the year, we'll have a volume 3 that's gonna be ready to go to print. So that's what I'm doing this year. Yeah,
Dude, that's awesome. I love hearing how busy you are, like in and out of comics, like just knowing that you had to work from hire that kept you busy, so busy, it kind of pulled you away from the book. That's like kind of one of those things we always feel like it's a shame. Like I didn't get to work on my personal project, but on the other hand, like you got actual work to like be doing stuff like this. So what kind of work for hire work do you pick up on the side?
God, I'm doing like 4 different series right now. I think I'm working on a preview for a really cool fantasy book that's kind of in the tune of like Savage Sword of Conan stuff. that I've been calling the Royal. That's not the official title of the book. We don't actually have an official title of the book yet, but that's written by John Escobolis, who is a writer from Connecticut as well.
Ooh.
And he has done a lot of really cool books. He's doing one right now with Panico Press called Monster Master, which I don't know if is in previews yet, but it might be. Anyways, he's really great. And we've had an awesome time working on that. And once we finish that preview, we're going to be shopping it around to a couple of places. So that would be actually my first direct market book, which would be really cool to do.
Sick.
I do a series called Circuit Champ with a writer named John Solito for Wild Hair Comics. That just had a chapter 2 drop. Might have printed copies of that at IC3. We'll see how that goes. And I do a series called The World Ends in Fire and Invasive Worlds, both with Zancon Entertainment with DC Horn.
Nice.
So those World Ends in Fire's got 5 issues out right now. Only 3 of them are in print. We're trying to get a trade off the ground for the first 5 this year. We'll see how that goes. I've done all the layouts already, so it's kind of, my end's kind of done. I'm just kind of waiting for the actual production end of that to happen. And then Invasive Worlds is a brand new one that we're working on that is probably going to see an issue drop, I don't know, sometime in March. And then I'm working on another cool series, which I'm never really entirely sure how much of this I can talk about. She's keeping it kind of close to the chest, but Rose God is a DJ who operates out of LA, and she had put together this really awesome vinyl release. It's dropping on Valentine's Day. And I did a comic to accompany that. So it's the vinyl cover, and the the liner notes are a comic book that I did. And she's going to be hitting Kickstarter in February as well to fund another 2 issues of that. It's called Romance Radio. It's a real departure for me. It's a very different sort of thing, but I've had a lot of fun with it, and working with Rose has been super awesome. So that's kind of like the stuff that's actively in development. I'm also working with some stuff on some stuff with Casey Flynn, doing like a Sentai comic, which is, we've done a preview for it. We've done like a 5-page thing, and now we're kind of figuring out what we want to do next with it. So that's going to happen this year sometime. Really, I'm just swimming in it. And then, listing them all out, I'm starting to stress myself out a little bit. But it's if you keep to the schedule and you really pound it, we can get all this stuff done. Oh, and then Limit Break Comics new anthology, Wish Upon a Star. I'm in that. So I got 4 pages for that I got to finish by the end of the week. So I stay busy.
Dude, I love hearing that. That's extraordinary. Like, how did a lot of indie creators are always looking let me back up a little bit. A lot of the publishers you're working with are super awesome, super great people. I've met a lot of the people that run who you're working with. And that's super great to hear that you're integrated with the community. But a lot of creators are always looking for these type of opportunities and opening the floodgates for this. I was just talking to Chris Anderson on Inspired Inc., our long form show, about finding opportunities in comics. And so how do you go about finding all these unique opportunities and filling your schedule the way you do?
It's hard. It's hard, and it takes a long time. And you got to be really persistent, and you got to be kind of annoying sometimes to these people, but not too annoying, so they won't want to work with you. But I meet people at either at shows, or I meet people more. I used to meet people on Twitter, but I'm not on Twitter anymore.
Vibes.
Yeah. And it's, I used to meet people online, during like the COVID days and everything. Nowadays, I do meet people more at in-person events. So like, Royal, I met John at a mini con in Deep River at a store called Comics and Coffee, which is a really great little shop. And if you live in Connecticut, I definitely recommend taking the trip to check it out. It's kind of in the middle of the woods. It's a weird location, but Adam's a great guy, and it's a cool store. So especially if you're into vintage stuff and you're looking to complete like a collection, or he's got a lot of weird stuff, and I think he's selling vinyls now too. So cool. Check that out. But anyways, I met John down there, and I am very brazen when I meet people. I try not to be too obnoxious, but if somebody is a writer who works with artists, or excuse me, or somebody has a small pub, I always give them my card, and I always, essentially ask them to give me a job right there on the spot, even if we just met. And it bears out, and not all the time, but it bears out more often than you think. The weirdest one I ever did was I was at Terrificon this year. This one didn't work out for me. Actually, it worked out in a different way, because I met somebody else there who I potentially am going to work something on, but that's not real yet, so I'm not going to say anything about that. But at Terrificon last year, they had 3 cast members from Deep Space Nine, which is my favorite Star Trek. And I have actually a signed picture of Nana Visitor up on the wall because I was able to meet her.
That's
I gave her a
cool.
copy of my book. There's a picture of that out there. I gave her the book and I'm like, can I take your picture with the book? And she let me do that, which is really cool of her. But I also met Armin Shimmerman, who plays Quark. And he has a podcast that he's on with a couple of other Trek alums where they talk about the history of the series. And I gave him my card and I said, if you ever need to hire an illustrator, you should give me a call. And he's like, well, no, he says, well, we pull art from because they do a lot of talk about like Lower Decks and stuff. He's like, we pull art from the show. We don't really ever hire anybody to do stuff like this. Yeah, but if you do, I want you to remember the guy who was brazen enough to ask you. I never heard from him again, so probably no go on that. But he's got my card.
Yeah, like that's how you do it. It's a hustle.
Yeah.
You have to go out there and just put in their faces and be like, hey, I mean, what you just said. You get denied, but it's like, but if you do know, like an opportunity does open up, you're going to remember me, like, please, like, and in such a good, graceful way where it's both like entertaining and fun, but you're not like, like crying and desperate in a sense, you know what I mean?
You get denied a lot. You're going to get denied a lot. 90% of the time you're going to get a no. Maybe even more than that, honestly. But you got to keep your head up and you got to stay positive and you got to definitely not like get pissy with people if they don't want to give you a job. Cause the thing about comics writers, the thing about comics publishers, the thing about comics people in general, the workload is always massive. There's always new stuff coming out. There's always need for new artists. You're going to have another shot at these people if they say no to you. If you're polite and you're professional and you show your passion for the medium. There's a particular writer who I've been going after for years. And I've never gotten him to give me anything yet, but I'm getting closer. And we stay kind of in touch. And every so often I'll send him something. I said, hey, you were talking about this the last time you had me maybe in mind for this project. And I know I didn't get that one, but hey, think about this. And so I'm going to wear him down.
What happens? I swear. Yeah. I've caved to that too in some instances where I'm like, oh, you know what? Actually, I now have the project and the idea in mind that you'd be good for. I think that's the thing about most denials is that not that there's not so much of an opportunity out there, but it's that they don't have the right project that they feel is going to fit you or they can envision your work with. So sometimes the right idea just needs to happen, or you speak to someone as that idea is open and they're looking, and you're kind of like the saving grace. So you never know where you're going to land on that spectrum of denials or acceptance at that point.
You got to make yourself, and I'm still working on this myself, but you got to work on making yourself a fixture of the community and build a reputation as somebody who gets gigs done, who hits deadlines, who does good work, who can, meet you at a show and put a book in your face and say, hey, I did this, check it out. That's what I always do with the Maru Kiru books. I bring them with me to pretty much everything I go to, even if I'm not exhibiting at a table. I'll have it in a backpack. I'll meet somebody and I'll hand it to them. I'll say, look through this. I made this all myself. And I feel like that makes a big impression. If you can show your work off to somebody in that real published format, I think it's a good idea to take your sketchbook around with you too, your portfolio around with you when you're meeting people.
Or make a little zine, you know what I mean? A zine of like your curated art or something easy. So anything
show
works.
people that you can do it. And that goes a long way. So it's a lot of it's persistence. It's quality, it's service, it's professionalism, and having a good attitude, I think, goes a long way, because it's easy to get down on yourself and it's easy to kind of feel trapped and like you can't do it. We all kind of have that voice in the back of our head telling us that we're a fraud and that we can never get it done. But it's not, shove that to the side. You can do it.
Yeah, 100%. Dude, Brandon, this has been an awesome spotlight. I hate when it goes by too fast and I have to get the spotlights done. But dude, there's so much, information that's good and valuable for creators. Just persistence, not giving up, believing in yourself, having that confidence, going out there and seeking opportunities. That's all what we need to do. Because if you're putting the grind in of learning how to draw and putting, pen to paper and making books, like represent that. Like, and if you want these gigs, like what you're getting, that's what you got to do, the hustle. And all comes in phases. Make your own work, focus on your book, and then realize like you can open yourself up a bit more and, live more off of your art. And it's difficult, like you said, but achievable.
And it never gets easier. So if it's one of those things that it's like, if you're intimidated by the grind, you do have to learn how to master that, because it's not going to go away. But if you love what you do, then you can do it. And another thing that I would say is that something I'm experiencing early in this year is a lot of people that I met last year and did smaller projects with last year have come to me at the beginning of this year with new ideas for new stuff. And I'm loading up my schedule in such a fashion where I can go on a show like this and I can tell you like, oh yeah, I'm working on 7 books right now. And then I can go cry in the closet when the camera's off because I have 7 books that I have to do. But it's a good problem to have. Yeah. It's a good problem to have. So
yeah.
It's a lot of this industry is feast or famine. So it's good to be feasting. But yeah, it's
experiencing that myself right now. Apollo has like 6 releases in the next 3 months, and I'm like, how do we do this? But okay, cool. That's good. That's all. That's not bad news. Like to have this many books, like it's awesome. So it's like let's just breathe and get through every day.
Teach yourself how to juggle, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, honestly. Well, Brandon, where can people go find your work? Where can people find these books? I know, aside from cons, do you have a site? Do you have somewhere we could direct people to?
Yeah. The easiest place to go is just to go to my website, brendanalbetski.com. I use my name for everything. The social media landscape is a mess right now. I'm not going to tell you what all my social media handles are just my name. So if you look for Brendan Albetski, you'll find me. I'm really Googleable, but my website, brendanalbetski.com, is kind of the nexus for everything. You can sign up for my newsletter there, which is a free subscription. You can check out my coffee page where you can hire me to do commissions and other kind of stuff. Get in touch with me that way, or just leave a donation. I'm always raising money to do like an art stream or something like that. I'm going to be doing a stream later today on my YouTube channel. So I collect all those things on my website, brendanalbetski.com. So that's the best place to go check it out. And of course, the Maru Kiru comics are available digitally on Global Comics and on Comic Fury. I'm going to be getting on Nami Kami this year pretty soon, and a handful of other things. Just trying to spread it out so as many people can access it as possible. Yeah. And going to be at least 1 release a month for that for the entirety of 2025. So keep that, and then probably a Kickstarter after that to fund the next book. So nice. BrendanAlbetski.com is the place to be, though. That's where you're going to find me.
Love it. Dude, I'm so hyped to I got to get you on Spilled Ink. We'll talk right now after the show.
Yeah, sure.
But I can't wait to see you at IC3. I can't wait to see all these books. I'll definitely pick up a copy when I see you.
Absolutely.
Hyped to hear about all your progress, man. Congrats. And thanks for stepping in the spotlight today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a really great time.